With the U.S. homeowners insurance segment experiencing its worst underwriting results since at least 2000, a new AM Best report also looks at the impact of population shifts on insurers' results. Here to discuss the report is David Blades, Associate Director, and Christopher Graham, Senior Industry Analyst, both in AM Best Industry Research and Analytics area. And Chris, the report suggests that population migration may be playing into the historically poor results. What's going on there?
Good morning, John. Thank you for having us. So if you look throughout the country's history, right, the population has consistently moved south and west. That shows up in every census. It really accelerated between 2010 and 2020. Historically, homeowners' results have been better in New England than the rest of the country. So as the population has shifted to these areas more prone to catastrophes, of course, results have gotten worse. But it's not just that people are moving to the areas more prone to catastrophes. The building itself makes for more damage, not just in the sense that there's more buildings there, but there's also less nature to absorb rainfall that comes down, right? There's when you start putting in roads, well, all the water that would be absorbed in the ground in that area creates for weakened trees because the water runs off the roads, swamping the areas that are still unbuilt, and you get you're prone to a lot of wind activity taking out trees and creating havoc on homeowners. So, you're building in areas that historically have been bad and making the problem worse. The same goes, for California with the wildfires, building in areas more prone to wildfires, and then the human activity creates more wildfires. Whether it's somebody with a fire in their backyard, that leaves a spark. You have more energy demands, and the energy plants can create wildfires. So there's a whole lot of human activity in the areas that are prone to catastrophes, exacerbating catastrophes. You could look at an event like Hurricane Andrew, and what that would be today on inflation. Okay, maybe it would be doubled. But that's just economic inflation. If you look at the population effect, you can double that again. So that's what we're seeing in all of these areas that are prone to catastrophes, and that's what's driving the poor homeowners results.
So there are a lot of factors that are really out of the insurer's hands, things like climate risk, regulation, reinsurance costs. Are there any things they can do to better their situation?
Well, we've seen some companies take a pretty aggressive stand in this sense of not writing any more business or pulling out of these areas that are prone to these catastrophes. And a lot of this, from the insurer standpoint, is managing their aggregate risk, right? If they're being capped on rate, well, they're not going to continue writing in bad areas where they're losing money. We also saw, and it affected private passenger auto quite a bit, but homeowners as well, advertising was cut. Well, yes, if you're losing money on a product, you're not going to advertise that product. So those are the things that insurers can do right now to help manage their overall book against the migration and the climate change catastrophe-driven areas.
David, is the regulation around rate increases too restrictive, do you think?
Well, I think, from my perspective, with the insurance companies in terms of what they've told us and what they've told our ratings analysts in our meetings, it's definitely a factor in terms of how quickly they can address some of the rate adequacy concerns that they have in the different states where they've been having troubles with regards to their homeowners business. I think from a regulator's perspective, I think they have a tough job. Obviously, they have to balance, trying to have a fair marketplace for the citizens of their state, but also looking at it from the insurer's perspective, understanding the issues that are in play for the insurance companies as they are presented in rate filings and really making a good choice in terms of the rate filings that are presented to them. I think when you consider the macroeconomic challenges that homeowners insurers have had to deal with and changing climatic factors, I think that presents some big issues for the insurers. And those are things that, as the regulators are considering everything that's put in front of them from the standpoint of rate filings and the data that's laid out in front of them in those rate filings, I think they have to consider and just be, knowledgeable about all the different factors that are at play in their marketplace, in their different, areas and territories within their states, to be able to consider, those filings and really make the right decisions in terms of whether a rate increase for a given homeowners insurer is warranted, and if so, what the magnitude is. I think with what we've seen in the results trending so poorly recently for homeowners insurers, I'm sure regulators, especially in the states where results have been worse, have been getting besieged with rate filing or rate increase requests, and so they do have to balance that. So I think it's a tough job. I'm not sure I'm going to say they're too restrictive, but I think the restrictiveness definitely has played a part in impacting the speed with which homeowners insurers have been able to address the issues that they've seen in their portfolios with regards to their results.
Overall, the PC industry had a pretty good first quarter this year. Do you think that portends well for the future?
Well, for homeowners in particular, again, because you're right, the PC industry did have a good first quarter, and for homeowners, I think they definitely had a better first quarter than we've seen definitely in 2023, when a lot of the secondary perils and severe convective storms got the first 2 quarters off to a rough start for the homeowners industry. So I do think that's a positive. Whether that's going to continue, I think some of the fundamental issues that have been plaguing homeowners insurers are still in play. You've got, again, the inflationary impact on claim costs, and like I said, the changing climatic conditions and what that brings to bear in terms of the number of not only primary perils with hurricanes and such, now that we've gotten into Atlantic hurricane season, so that still has to play out, but also the greater frequency of the secondary perils, the tornadoes, the hailstorms, etc. I think it's too early to claim that a good or an improved first quarter is going to mean an improved homeowners result for 2024 as a whole, but I think it was great to get off to a good start, and definitely there were fewer winter storms and things coming in those first couple of months that played into the first quarter being better. So I think it's great to be off to a good start, but I think we've got to get through the Atlantic hurricane season before we'll say whether homeowners is going to end up posting at least improved results in 2024.
Thanks, David. Chris?
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
That was Associate Director David Blades and Senior Industry Analyst Christopher Graham. You can find the full report online at ambest.com. For AM Best TV, I'm John Weber.